how important is time alone with God to each of you? And how exactly do you make time for it? I think, man, it's so crazy when you think about it, but it's so pervasive that in the Sundays coming mentality and in the doing of church, especially as a staff person, we can have churches that are full of some of the most spiritually vulnerable people that you would ever know. And so how do you do that both, in a staff context, but then alone? Because it's hard for us, if we're on tour, we get into a mode where, we're going to church technically every night. Right. We're leading worship, right? We're supposed to be engaged in this environment. It's too easy, though, for this idea of worship by proxy, right, to be enough, right? And I was singing along with Chris last night. I'm good.
I think Christy gave an answer to that last night that I loved, where she was just talking about the continual practice of her prayer and staying in, connection with God, and how what that allows her to do is that when she gets on the stage, it's authentic, and she's not having to battle this feeling of being somebody else in the moment, because it's just a continuation of where she's already been. So I think if that's where you're going to be, then preparing yourself so that you can be authentic, and you're not having to fake it.
So it's not a script that you're delivering. It's actually
right.
An outpouring of what's already in you, and it's just coming out. That's great.
Growing up in church, it was like, did you have your quiet time today? And the part of me that wanted to control life was like, that made me feel good that I did that. And I do believe Jesus gave us a model of withdrawing to lonely places, being alone. And he's God, so he's going, I need to be alone. So we need that space just to be still. But exactly what Matt's saying, what if the quiet time was your life? What if it didn't end with the devotional reading and the prayer? It was you're in, getting ready, getting your clothes on, getting stuff ready for the kids or whatever, and it's a continual conversation in your spirit of gratitude to God and crying out to God. And that's a different mindset, but it's freeing,
Yeah.
God, thank you for this coffee. It tastes so good. You're awesome. Let's worship you for this coffee.
Yeah.
And just not stopping.
That's great. I had one just example that was helpful for me. We recently this summer we were going in the studio for a couple of weeks to make a record. And that is the most, it's kind of, it's similar to a Sunday, but it's the most like insecure environment. Like I say that not the environment itself, but like it's a place where all your insecurities can really wreak havoc, and we all have them. And so every day on the way to the studio, I would, in anticipation of knowing I was going to go in and feel like maybe, oh man, this producer, he probably always works with somebody that's better than me. Or he's probably used to hearing this insane guitar tone from his favorite guitar player, and I'm not that guy, whatever. And so, like, before I just let my thoughts, let the enemy just wreak havoc on my thought life, on the way, I had my, YouVersion app, and every day on the way to the studio, I would just open my app and just hit play, and I would just let scripture play in my car on the way to the studio, and that was just one really simple way.
It's such a soothing British voice, too. It's like...
just fill your car, fill your thoughts with the things of God, as opposed to just allowing your all your insecurities and worries and everything to just kind of, because your mind we can all go there in a half a second,
I think it's good, speaking of that, to pick something that you resonate with as almost like a meditation. So that something that I'll do, I like astronomy, so when I want to get away and do something that it helps me see something that is vastly greater than me or what I'm doing, like we're going to the studio, I'm very insecure, I'm going to be super sensitive, I'll grab my telescope and go out in the backyard and look at things, and that really helped me kind of put things into perspective. Like, this is enormous. My problems are very, very small.
It's cool.
God created this. My problems are small. Stuff like that.
That's great. And then from a practical standpoint, there have been times on the road where when we're going to get bogged down in the everyday. Just finding one or two people to hold each other accountable. Hey guys, we're gonna read a proverb a day during this run of the tour. So, proverb a day isn't very much, but at dinner, maybe we'll talk about it, or hey, we're gonna go through a book together, a chapter a week, and during this run of the tour, we're gonna go through this book and have a couple of guys who are kind of digging in and talking about it together. So you can do that with your teams. There's great apps. The Woodlands app we've been using as a Bible reading plan to kind of challenge each other with certain passages of Scripture. Obviously, YouVersion has reading plans. To do that as a team, but also to find a way individually to dig into that stuff is great.